Good morning. I'm John Ellsworth, founder of Success Strategies Incorporated and the creator of the Success Strategies Advantage. And today's program is entitled, Are You at the Top of Your Game? Now, this has been a challenging year for a lot of us. We know that all costs are up due to inflation. Many things are up in our cost structure. People are having trouble hiring people. They're having a real challenge hiring the amount of people and the quality of workers that they need to move to the next level. And now more recently, we're starting to see increasing bank pressures. The bankers are under a lot of pressure from their auditors, of course, and we're all under pressure from increasing interest rates that the Fed's been putting in place over the last 12 to 18 months. But I want to point out one thing. These are all factors, they're all variables, but they are things that we cannot necessarily control. And I think the more important thing is that we need to focus on what we can control. And I'd like to share 4 points with you today. Number one, let's focus on business productivity. Are you running your business at its peak efficiency? Because that's a lot different than running it in a cost-cutting mode. And when, I hear people say this, well, John, when things get better, I'll throttle it up, I'll turn up the throttle. And I'm going to tell you, no, that doesn't work. Most businesses, you may find an exception, but most businesses cannot do this overnight, cannot turn the throttle up and bounce back into full production again. So my recommendation to you is, number one, stay at your peak production levels. Doesn't matter what kind of business you're running, stay at your peak productivity levels and do not attempt to play catch up as soon as things start looking a little better in the economy. Point number two, I hear about cost controls. Cost controls are different than cost cutting. Cost cutting basically is saying, we're going to take 20% off every cost and we're going to short the operations respectively in their various areas. That is foolish. Cost controls are a different thing, because if you measure your costs and your revenues, if you measure them, you'll understand them better. If you understand them, you can then start to control them. And if you can control them, you can make improvement by saying, gee, do I need to be spending this much money in this area? And maybe you shift it to a different area. So cost controls along with business productivity, those are number 1 and 2. Point number 3, measurements. I often see bankers, and I see even clients making comparisons with neighbors. Don't do it. I'm telling you right now that is very difficult to do. And the reason it's very difficult is you and I, neither of us know the specifics of their cost structure. We don't know their finances. We don't know their debt levels. It could be higher, could be lower than yours. They may not be as profitable as they appear on the surface, or they could be 5 times better than you. I don't know. Better comparison by far is to see how are you doing this year versus last year, or better yet, versus the last 3 years. Are you trending upward in your productivity, in your profitability? That's the important thing. Because your operation, it doesn't matter, again, what type of business you're running, is never identical to your competitors or others in your industry. So it's hard to make those comparisons. Compare yourself with where you were and move forward accordingly. Point number 4, share your plans for the future with your banker. Scary thought? Maybe so. But that may be. However, I would suggest that it will help you accomplish 2 items. Number 1, if you're going to meet with your banker, I assure you, you will become better prepared. That's a good thing. And point number 2, you'll measure results more often. And if you measure your results more often, you will go back to that. If we measure it, we understand it, we can control it. If you control it, you can improve it. And that's true on our profitability, it's true on our revenues, and it's true on our expenses as well. So my suggestion in summary is that you stay on your A game. Watch your business productivity, control your costs, not necessarily by cost cutting, just measure them and stay on top of your costs so you know what your break-even levels are. Do your measurements on a regular basis. against where you've been, not where your neighbors are necessarily. Neighbors are good for giving you good ideas, but I think it's weak in terms of comparisons necessarily. And finally, share your plans with your banker. Stay on your A game. You will do two things. In the case of a downturn, you will be better positioned to survive. And in case of an upturn, when things really do turn upward, you'll be better poised for that quick rebound. Again, I'm John Ellsworth, founder of Success Strategies Incorporated, the creator of the Success Strategies Advantage, and I want to thank you for listening today. Thank you.